Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends, Wooden Railway Adventures, Episode 120, Fire at the Sheds. There was a big celebration going on at the fire station. 2 new fire trucks had arrived, and many of the engines were excited. "It is my pleasure," said Sir Topham Hatt, "to welcome 2 additional fire trucks to the Sodor Fire Station. Now, with the additional help, we can hopefully retire number 36 sometime in the near future." The engines cheered, but a grumpy old steamroller did not. George was in a bad mood, and he did not like celebrations. "Pah," he said. "Who cares about fire trucks? Steamrollers are much better." Toby had overheard George's comment. "Really?" he said. "Then, who would put out all the fires?" "Who cares about fires?" retorted George. "Nice roads are all that matter." And with that, he slowly rolled away. George didn't have any work to do that day, so he decided to cause trouble. While Gordon was waiting at Ellsbridge Station for his passengers, George crept onto the crossing and stopped. "Oh dear," he said. "I seem to have broken down." Replied Gordon. "I guess Butch will have to tow you away to be fixed. Oh, look! Here he comes right now." George didn't like Butch at all, so he scuttled off the crossing as fast as he could. "Liar," laughed Gordon. "Go cause trouble somewhere else, and leave us engines to do our work." As Gordon puffed away, George became crosser than ever. "I'll show Gordon that I'm more useful than him," he said. "Then he won't push me around anymore." Earlier that day, James's good train had hit a bad section of the track, and a tar wagon had cracked open. When George arrived, he noticed a large patch of tar near the track. This gave him an idea. "I'll fix this part of the track before Gordon arrives," he said. "Sir Topham Hatt may even reward me for my good work." George only meant to put a little bit of tar on the track, but he got so carried away that he forgot what he was supposed to be doing. When he was done, he realized that he had turned the section of track into a piece of road. "Oops," he said to himself. "I wonder who did that?" And he raced away, making sure that no one saw him. Unfortunately, George's mistake would cost Stepney big time. He was pushing some fuel tankers to the scrapyard when his train suddenly came off the line and crashed into the shed. "Whoops," said Stepney. "I guess I'll have to go and get the breakdown train." He left the train and went to go find it. Just then, James came down the line in the opposite direction with his cracked tar tanker. He was taking it to the works to be repaired. Just like Stepney, his tanker ran off the track and crashed. "Grrr," said James. "This section of the track is giving me a hard time today." "Don't worry, James," said his driver. "I saw Rocky back at the quarry. Let's go pick him up so we can clean this mess up before Gordon gets here." What James hadn't seen was that his tar wagon was still leaking, and it spilled all over the fuel cars. Those had also been cracked, and so the fuel and tar began to mix. In no time, a small fire was roaring on the side of the track. By the time Stepney and James had arrived, the fire had spread to the sheds. "Oh no!" cried Stepney. "Not the sheds!" "Go get Sir Topham Hatt," said James. "I'll alert the fire department." The 2 raced off to their destinations. "Hurry, hurry, hurry!" cried James. "Go as fast as you can!" Stepney found Sir Topham Hatt at Knapford Station. "Sir," he said, "the sheds are on fire. Come quickly." Without asking any questions, Sir Topham Hatt jumped on board and they sped off. "Cinders and ashes!" cried Thomas. "This is serious. Percy, Edward, we must go help." They all left their trains at the station and rushed away to the disaster. Meanwhile, James arrived at the fire station in no time. "Quick, firemen," he called. "The sheds are on fire!" In a matter of minutes, all 3 fire trucks, including old number 36, roared away to the fire. When everyone arrived, the sheds were ablaze. It was a raging inferno that couldn't be stopped. The firemen bravely sprayed the blaze, but they were using up all the water. "Quick," called Sir Topham Hatt. "The firemen need more water." The engines didn't know what to do until Arthur arrived with the waterworks cars. "I heard about the fire," he said, and I rushed over here as fast as I could. What can I do to help?" Percy rushed over. "But Arthur," he said, "you've already helped. The firemen can hook up their hoses to the waterworks cars so they can get more water." The firemen did so, and they were soon supplied with lots more water. By now, Gordon had arrived with the express, and the passengers got out of the train and watched Tidmouth's sheds burn. It took many hours for the fire to finally extinguish itself. Ash covered the ground everywhere, and by the time it was all over, the sheds were toasted to perfection. During that time, Stepney and the breakdown train had moved the charred tanker remains off to the side of the track, and the workmen and the firemen were inspecting the piece of road that was sitting there. The passengers were still here. They were wondering what was going to become of Tidmouth's sheds. And so did Gordon, James, Thomas, Edward, and Percy. They looked at the place they had called home for so many years and realized it was gone. At the end of the day, when everybody was gone, Sir Topham Hatt called the engines together. "Today," he said, "has been a very stressful day, and I must thank you all personally for helping out in one way or another." "Sir," asked Thomas, "what are we going to do?" "First, we are going to need to rebuild the sheds. It will take lots of hard work and time, but it will be worth it." "But, sir, you will need to order all the supplies from the mainland. That could take months to get here." "Actually, no, it won't. As a reward for your hard work and effort over the past couple of months, I was planning on upgrading the sheds. The supplies are already at the docks, but they will need to be hauled all the way across the island to get here." "But, sir," asked Gordon, "who started the fire?" "That I do not know. I suppose we'll just have to—" "No," said Percy, "I know who it is." Sir Topham Hatt was shocked. "Percy," he said, "who is it?" "The track right over there has been turned into a section of road, and only one vehicle on Sodor can do that." "That would be George!" exclaimed James. "Never mind about that," said Sir Topham Hatt. "I'll talk to him later. For now, we must focus on rebuilding the sheds." And so, the engines bustled off to get the supplies. They knew it was going to be a long and strenuous process, but they had to rebuild the sheds.